You practice like this, you tend to run off the weaker. And I said, what does that mean? He said, you find out how much they really love football. Are they willing to get up and work this hard at this hour?
Before the sun even sees the field at Towson, the Tigers are grinding, setting a football foundation and separating the strong from the weak.
The whole world sleeps still.
Come on, ready, feet. Ready, feet. Sam, you're done. Ready. Throw your heart in it and your body will follow.
What's the old Army commercial? We do more before 9 than most people do in a day. Hey, kickers! Come on, Sammy.
I go to bed early. I get up, I'm yelling. My roommate's like, shut up. I'm like, let's go. It's 6:03, I had to go practice.
This is where we get to find out, you know, are we mentally tough? Are we going to work hard? Are we going to grind through together?
We've laid a foundation that will carry over through the spring. So when we hit camp on the first day, it's not starting over. We're hitting the ground running.
Go get 5. Go get a 5.
He's just a good motivator, and if we mess up, he lets us know about it.
Feet are wrong, so the ball's wrong. 2's right hand. Didn't get it. He's a great foundation for a lot of these young guys that weren't here when we were successful. They know the ghost and the myth and all the great things we did.
It was just 2 years ago that Rob Ambrose and the Tigers played in the national championship game, and getting back is clearly on their mind.
It's not like we're strangers to it, so it's just motivation that, like, hey, we did it before, we could do it again.
We know what it takes to get there, and we know that we have talent to get there.
And while spring practice isn't perfect,
Bag it up, 5.
it is that necessity for building the program.
Amazing, we are this deep into it, and you're mulling around like cattle.
But me and Happy don't meet too often when it comes to this. I'm a hard man to please for myself. Excellence is not something that should be easily achieved.
Right in, I've seen enough. I don't think I've seen more penalties. Are you better than that?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna make mistakes. How are we gonna answer the bell? You are what you do consistently, men. When all 11 guys do it together, we kick out everybody. We're not there yet. We're not even close. And the clock's ticking and we're running out of time. Family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm Jeff Turetsky.
Nice to meet you. I'm Devin Still.
Go ahead. Hey, good morning, Smith. Good to see you. I guess I have something for you. Let's see. Yeah, that's the big one. Is going to go.
That's the big one?
So we'll see how this fits. Yeah. It may be a little bit small, but no, actually, it's
It fits pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. There you are. Scientist for a day. How about that?
Let's
all right,
do it.
We've got one for you, too. All right. Here we go.
When you see a doctor talk about pulling a machine off a loading dock that was about to go into a trash can.
We really wanted to get into using a machine like this.
And then to hear that, that machine that they saved is actually pushed them light years closer to finding a cure, I think that's why people want to come and support a group like Lombardi, and why I'm thrilled again to be the honorary chair.
The goal here is for you guys to get to participate a little bit in some of this science and kind of touch it a little bit, see what it's like, and see kind of how we do things.
Okay. I went public with my daughter's story so we can continue to raise awareness and money for research.
On the bottom of this plastic, there is a layer of cancer cells. I'm going to let you guys see what it looks like. You see the same thing there that you're looking at? So those are cancer cells. And each one of these misshapen objects is a cancer cell.
And to see where those research dollars are going, it means a lot. It makes you want to work harder to give the scientists the funds they need to try to find cures for cancer.
Can you see these purple spots here?
Yep.
Okay, so those are little cancer tumors.
As a scientist and a physician, it really makes me happy because I get to explain to them what's both really important to me and then share it in a way that they're going to go forth.
One of the ways that you can make a cancer resistant is you give it a little dose of the drug over and over again.
And they're going to talk to other people and, getting the word out that science is important, that what we're doing is important, that the impact that we can have is important.
So is that why they try to say to stay away from a lot of sugars for children who are going through cancer, because that helps it grow?
People will say that for that reason, but I don't think the evidence is that strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my feeling is when I have, with my patients, when parents ask me the question, I say anything that your child will eat when they're getting cancer therapy,
give them calories.
Good by calories, just whatever they'll eat.
Now he gets a chance to see a little bit on a very personal level of what goes into the sort of discoveries that are helping Leah, and I'm really very proud to be able to share that with him.
Look what happened.
Every week there is always something, and for the most part there's always something negative that seems to be driving the train that week. And if you remember back when they were telling Leah's story and when America heard about it for the first time, it was a great opportunity to see a group of guys and to see an entire league rally around a little girl. And to me that reminds hopefully our fans that the people you're seeing on the field are fathers and their sons and their husbands, and yes, every now and then we go through some sort of issue, but in no way, shape, or form should those incidents drive the train on an understanding of who our men really are.
And everybody who's fighting cancer, every time we get an award, it's not just for me and my daughter. Every kid shows the same strength that my daughter shows through their battle with cancer, and every parent tries to do as much to help out other families who are battling the same cause.
Fortunately, she couldn't be with us today, but we have her a white coat as well.
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
so you can take a picture of her in it and send it back.
Might be a nice little Halloween costume for her.
What is it like to wake up and see that smile on her face?
It makes my day. It makes my day just being there with her and knowing that she's not in as much pain as she was before, that she's able to continue to wake up and smile and just try to be as normal as possible.
Today marks exactly 1 year from the day Starshima Austin's husband shot her in the face while she was holding their infant child, and their oldest daughter looked on. She will leave this operating room with a new face, one step closer to leaving her violent past behind.
For an entire year, Starshima Austin tells us she's been hiding.
It's been very painful.
Star owes her life to her daughter, who cleaned her up after the shooting and called 911.
It's been a lot, a whole lot.
She lives every day with a constant reminder of an abusive relationship staring back at her in the mirror.
Just not looking normal, not looking like I used to. I mean, my self-confidence, self-esteem, that was already down. But it's like now it's just completely in a negative.
That should change after today, as reconstructive surgeon Dr. Travis Shaw says Star seemed very positive on her way into the OR. The goal of the outpatient procedure is to rebuild the area around her eye and restore symmetry to her face.
Your outward appearance is often a reflection of how you feel on the inside. And I think by helping her with her outward appearance today, hopefully we can help her heal.
The surgery is very complicated and involved, so there's a lot we're not going to show you because of the graphic nature.
This is one of the worst traumas Dr. Shaw has seen.
You can see how it comes out here to the tissue.
Inside the operating room,
that's the bone of the eye socket.
There's bleeding, scar tissue, and other challenges.
I think I'm going to put something right in this little corner over here to support the eye from the underneath.
After almost 3 hours on the table, Star still has a long road ahead. She'll be swollen, in pain, and will require more surgeries. The physical agony and heartache of the last year has shown her she didn't deserve the abuse.
What a great example she is to her children and to other women out there that they can make it through this kind of thing.
And that is why she let us bring you her painful journey.
I don't want anyone else to go through all that I've gone through.
It's too soon to tell just how many more surgeries Star will need. In Richmond, I'm Laura Geller for NBC 12 News.
Matt Gilman is a trials bike rider from Baltimore. He's head mechanic at Joe's Bike Shop. Matt Gilman is also blind. Doctors diagnosed Matt with diabetes Christmas Day 1989. He was 9 years old. For the next 6 or 7 years, it was under control. He was riding bikes. He was even working at this bike shop in Baltimore when he was 14.
When I started getting into my 15, 16-year-old age, I started doing the rebellion stage of I know better than what you tell me. Parents, doctors were wrong. It turned into not checking my blood sugars as often, and then it turned into eating what I wanted to.
When he was 24, Matt started having vision issues. A retina specialist diagnosed him with diabetic retinopathy, a complication of diabetes which can cause blindness. Matt had 22 eye surgeries in 2 years and still lost his vision.
Just realizing I wasn't going to be able to ride the bike again, I wasn't going to be able to drive a car, get around, I just thought my life was over.
During those dark days, Matt found comfort sitting on his bike and knew he had to ride again.
Grabbed my bike, went to my living room and just sat there and learned how to balance in one spot. And that lasted for a couple weeks, got that, then went out front with the bike and figured out how to start hopping on the back wheel and figured out how to jump from one point to another. And then it started turning into figuring out how to get onto a curb.
Once he completely relearned to ride his trials bike through feel, he decided to convince Joe Trail to rehire him at Joe's Bikes.
Honestly, I was skeptical, and I thought I was simply being charitable, which I know is an awful thing to say, and Matt most probably cringes when he hears it. But Matt convinced me that he could build a bicycle by building a bicycle.
Matt then convinced Joe he could perform the more difficult task of repairing bikes.
I'm often odd, and that is still pales in comparison to what he does when he rides a bike.
Matt spends his weekends riding his trials bike, giving demos and motivational speeches to raise awareness for diabetes and to show he is living proof of the old adage, never give up.
I just want people to know there's always a way to do something. If you really want to do it bad enough, you just have to try. I mean, as much as people are afraid to fail, if you don't fail, you won't learn.
In Mount Washington, Jill Sorensen, CSN Baltimore.
I don't even know how to react to that.
That's a remarkable
This is really
story.
impressive. To do that without even having any sort of condition or something holding you back is just crazy.
Or just the fact, I mean, years ago, he could have just, packed it in and said, listen, I can't do this anymore, but to keep going is remarkable.
We've learned that $9.6 million comes from delinquent accounts. Those account holders can expect calls from collection agencies, but the deficit won't affect how Richmond Ambulance responds when you call 911.
They rush to you when you're in an emergency. But they're losing money doing it. That's one of the few criticisms contained in the city auditor's report of the Richmond Ambulance Authority. CEO Chip Decker tells me they do everything they can to get paid, then send the accounts to collection agents.
They will get a letter, they'll get phone calls. We will make contact with them best we can.
Some of the problem is the population in a city. More low-income people, some without permanent addresses for bills. Still, when patients call 911, medics have an obligation to respond. Decker says they'll be there no matter what.
If you haven't been able to pay your bill for the last 20 trips that we carried you to the hospital, that's fine. If you need an ambulance, we will tote you the 21st time.
So if they have to pick you up, how are they ensuring payment after the audit? RAA has hired a new collection agency since the period of the report, but there are a few other options.
Obviously, payment up front is not the way you want to run this kind of business when somebody is in, has a critical need.
In the bigger picture, the authority collects more than 50% of its accounts. While that may seem low for a business, its rate is higher than some similar agencies.
Overall, Decker says he is pleased with this report. When compared to many other city departments, this audit is mostly positive. At the Richmond Ambulance Authority tonight, I'm Laura Geller for NBC 12 News.
First of all, Brad, congratulations. Take me back to yesterday when you're sitting in Ernie's office and you're signing the contract. What were you thinking at that moment?
Probably the first thing was, wow. This is another dream come true. It kind of reminded me of draft night a little bit. Just like I never pictured myself in this situation. I never pictured myself wanted it would happen probably this fast again. Right. But it was definitely a dream come true. But it was a little bit of motivation. It kind of humbled me a little bit. Kind of even more of knowing that it's a huge responsibility. It's kind of changes your life after this, whether you want to accept it or embrace it or not.
Let's talk about the basketball side of it. Obviously now with the commitment that ownership and management has given to you, you are now, without a debate, one of the cornerstones. You are one of the faces of the franchise with John. There's no more John and everybody. It's right here. How do you guys get back on the same page?
It's just a matter of us just having that same competitive spirit. The deal's done. It's not about money with us. And I think as long as we can eliminate that and keep that in the outside world, I think we'll be good. It's not about money. Heck, he's going to make more money than me in 2 or 3 years anyway. So at the end of the day, it's just a matter of us just making sure that, our goal is to win and we have to realize that the team falls on us.
Congratulations on an award that I know is really near and dear to your heart. You've had a lot of accolades on the court, but where does this one rank?
It's probably my top one. I mean, my best one, I think, just because how much it means to me of giving back to the community, putting smiles on kids' faces and family faces, and it's kind of a testimony to my character and what my mom instilled in me of a young man and becoming into the man I am today at giving back and just enjoying what I do.
You appreciate, obviously, those little kids that were sitting there. If you have a chance to look at them, what was that interaction like for you, knowing that there might be a kid that was sitting there watching you talk today that was inspired by what you were able to do for them?
It was great. It's kind of like the first time I walked into this building, just walking into a classroom and seeing those kids just sitting there. I mean, they was all well monitored. They was like, if you sit, you're gonna sit. But just the excitement was for those kids who want to come give me a hug, but I was more excited to see them over there.
In 3, 2, 1. 2 of the dogs are in isolation at Hanover Animal Control. They're still looking for the other 2. Meanwhile, other livestock owners. Dude!
Investigators say members of this group would actually sit in their car outside jewelry stores looking to target these jewelry salesmen and then follow them wherever they went.
Police say the nanny strapped one child in the car. Then they say she got behind the wheel of the car while his baby sister was still outside.
A lot of what happened that night was caught on this surveillance video. The quality wasn't very good, but it did happen right behind me, behind the glass door.
Charles and Angela were pulled over in this area of Jeff Davis Highway. Police tell us that Charles was drunk and charged Angela with child neglect because they say she knowingly let him drive with her and her 4-year-old daughter inside of the car.
Gina says it all started here at this bus stop on Clarkson Road just off Warwick Road. 2 buses were lined up back to back, and Gina says that fake cop was right behind those buses. And seconds later, Gina noticed flashing lights behind her, and she says it was that fake cop.
Margaret looked through this kitchen window and saw the alleged suspects when she woke up in the middle of the night. They were checking car doors in her neighborhood. Her husband called 911.